welcome to Auto Asphyxiation. This is Lark.
And Kimberly.
That's right. And we are in our first live visual auto asphyxiation. I guess we're always live, but this is the first time you can actually see us. So we're actual real people. And we're in the great state of New Jersey. And what studio are we in?
We're at the New Level Podcast Studios in Clifton, New Jersey.
Oh, wow. I'm excited because we're going to be talking about an exciting issue today, even more exciting than usual. Actually, we're going to be talking about, let me look down here, S4834. And it is it's a new law, or actually it's a bill that wants to be a law that turns all e-bikes into motorcycles. Or actually, it actually regulates everything that's electric, whether it's class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4. And it is something that is going to it has the potential of remaking New Jersey, and I should say remake, which is not really remaking, but it's going to keep it the same because probably if we do this, less people will be riding bicycles because you will have to have a higher bar of entry in order to use a bicycle. You'll have to have insurance. You'll have to have a license. You'll have to have lessons. Like, what are your thoughts about this, Kimberly?
I have a lot of thoughts. First and foremost, a pedal assist bike, I don't think that needs to have a license and registration and insurance attached to it. Like, that seems a little ridiculous to me. And the throttle e-bikes and scooters and even the just straight out electric bicycles that are basically mopeds are also going to be considered e-bikes under this law, which I don't think that they are.
I think that, Senator Nick, he keeps trying to help us, First, he tried to take away, our oversight in regards to protecting us. And now he's trying to protect us even more by essentially taking away our right to ride a bicycle. But, the thing I think that is very interesting and a salient point on this whole topic is the idea of who gets to control language, who gets to control where we regulate, and how is democracy supposed to work? Is democracy supposed to work for the people or against the people? And this is this e-bike conversation that we're having right now is part of that, because one of the key issues is, what is a bike? And you know what, Kimberly, we want to say something. I'm a cyclist. I'm an avid cyclist. I bicycle every day to work. But Kimberly, are you a cyclist?
Not at this time. No, I am not.
Dude,
I'm an aspiring cyclist.
She's an aspiring cyclist. She's not a cyclist. So I want you guys to know that I am an urban critic, and she is like a health professional, but she also does urban criticism. But this is not a show about bicycles. This is a show about urbanism. This is a show about transportation. This is a show about political economy. This is also a show about feminist urbanism. So we are not like, oh, bike. But we want to have a conversation about what exactly is a bicycle. And that really shouldn't be a confusing question. Do you know what a bicycle is, Kimberly?
I think I do.
Yeah. I think I know what a bicycle is too. But for some reason in the United States, this is a really challenging question. In Europe, a bicycle is in some parts of Europe, I forgot which part it is exactly, but they're very clear about what a bicycle is. Bicycles don't have throttles, right?
No, they don't.
They don't have throttles. Bicycles don't go over 20 miles per hour, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I think that's something that I think is a general, but we all know. But in the United States, for some strange reason, a bicycle can have a throttle. A bicycle can go up to 30. It can go past 28 miles per hour. And I'm kind of confused. That's no longer a bicycle.
No, that's a scooter. They have the same kind of an engine, the 2-stroke 750cc engine that like a Lambretta or a Vespa would.
I know, and this is the whole thing. Bicycles, like, words are not neutral. We're having this conversation about neutral, oh, okay, that everything is the same. Class 1, Class 2, Class 3, Class 4. And what we should really be doing, and this is what some people are saying, is we need to educate people on all the different classes of bicycles. Does this make any sense to you, Kimberly?
No, it does not.
It does not make any sense. And so now we're having a situation where it's like, oh, let's throw all of the things that are bicycles into one category, but some of those things were not bicycles.
And that puts more, that makes our streets less safe. I think to also consider like throttle powered and the 750cc engines on some of these e-bicycles to be on our streets and be in our bike lanes and our recreational areas and things like that.
And I think the thing that's really interesting is that why is that? Why is it that 750 cc's watts? I forgot. Look, I'm not a mechanic, okay? But people, why is it these super fast bikes that are like 90 pounds, 70 pounds, 80 pounds? Why in the United States is it classified as a bicycle? And here's, I don't want to be, let me try to say this in a way that's very nice. It's very hard. Okay. I love People for Bikes because it says People for Bikes. But who sits on the board of People for Bikes? Let's see. I love Trek bikes. They're awesome. I love Giant bikes. They're awesome. Walmart also sits on the board. I don't really like Walmart too much. Screw them. They're not cool. I mean, you got a lot of these companies, and people are like, well, that's good because if there's bike companies on the board, that means that they're for people because people are for bikes or bikes are for people. But in the United States, what do corporations typically do?
Whatever they want.
Exactly, they do whatever they want. So like when you have People for Bikes and essentially you have them on the board, they're going to say, I don't want you regulating what I do. If I want to build a motorcycle and call it a bicycle, well, God damn it, that's what I'm going to do, right? That's what I'm going to do. Isn't that what they're saying, Kimberly?
Essentially.
Yeah, essentially, that's exactly what they're saying. And so we have, essentially, it shouldn't even be called People for Bikes. What do you think it could be called?
People for profit.
People. No. Yeah, I mean, let's see. Advocates for cheap PR for bike companies. I mean, that doesn't sound very catchy. I like the whole People for Profit. I think that actually sounds. They're going to probably be mad at us now because they're like, I thought this was an this bill is bad. You know what? We do think Senator Nick's bill is bad, but we also think advocacy has some hand in why this bill became a thing. Because if we actually had actual definitions that actually followed common sense, this law would have never happened. Because now, okay, go ahead. You were going to talk. I know I keep talking.
That's okay. Yeah. Well, doesn't Europe have a 200cc limit?
Yeah.
For their like electric assist bikes and everything like that?
They have their electric bikes are actual bicycles because you don't have throttles on electric. You don't have throttles on bicycles because that's called a moped.
And I gotta say, the throttles, like I told you before, I had a concierge at a building I used to live in Harrison, and he had a throttle assist scooter. And those things, even if they don't go as fast as like the 750cc bikes, that throttle is frighteningly fast. Like he even told me, he was like, look out for the throttle, be gentle with it. I thought I was gentle with it. I flew like 100 feet and I was just like, okay, never mind. Like, this is too fast for me. Like, so think about, like, I've been run down almost so many times, more times than I can count around Harrison with people on those throttle assist scooters.
Well, I think that this is kind of like part of the problem. And then a lot of people are kind of like, and I want to be, I want to explain that in New Jersey, the advocacy, they're wonderful. They're great. They're not taking money from these companies. But I think a lot of times in the political economy and economics, we think the only thing that motivates people is money. And the economics man is not real. Most people are not sociopaths. Money is not the motivator for most people. Okay, once people have food and shelter and all these things, this is, there are other things that motivate them other than money, because we're not making millions of dollars on this show, are we, Kimberly?
No, we're not.
We are not.
Shockingly, you guys, we're not making millions of dollars on this show.
Shockingly, we're just doing this show because this is something that we want to do, something that's really important. So the thing is that why is it, does it seem that, we have so many people supporting weird neutral, you know what, that's not neutral terms. How can I say this? Why is it that we have this, what do you call it? The delivery people?
Yes, yeah.
And what they're doing is cycling.
Yeah.
And we don't want to talk about that because we don't want to you know what? Those aren't bicycles. I'm confused.
No, they're not. They're not bicycles. Some I do see some. I use delivery services from time to time because I just get overwhelmed at the grocery store. But some of them are pedal assist electric bikes, but I would say that most of them are not.
And I don't have a problem with that. But I have a problem with the fact that the challenge here, that when we try to make it seem that the fact that they should have a union.
Absolutely.
They should have a union. People who are delivering food with mopeds should have a union. The algorithm shouldn't determine if they live or die. They should have protection. They should have health care. We should have limits on how fast the food is delivered. I think what you should have is if you have one of those algorithms, if you have one of those apps, a person should only be able to deliver maybe 3 times an hour, like three items an hour. That seems reasonable. I think the fact that we can't regulate mopeds and turn them into, we have to turn bicycles into mopeds because there are people who have to deliver 20 deliveries in order to share an apartment with 20 other guys.
That part.
Is the whole thing here? So this is about us caring about people who are making a living delivering. Because to me, if we cared about people who were delivering food, we should care about them. Number one, having a union, being paid a reasonable wage. Essentially, they're doing piece work, but with apps.
Yes.
And this is so this whole conversation, well, we can't limit what they're doing, how are they going to survive? Oh, wow. So why am I helping Uber Eats?
Yeah, but not only that, but why that's not helping them. That's some sort of sick guise under the idea of helping them would be advocating for them to have a living wage and to have a union.
Yeah, exactly. And health insurance and all this stuff. And also, too, giving people a path for citizenship and not like this weird paths like, well, you got to do that. You got to join the military and do this and do that. No, I'm for open borders. I'm from open borders. If you live here, you're a citizen. That's how I am.
That's how I am.
If you live here, you're a citizen. So we want to talk about helping people, then help them become documented, help them get, and also too, unions should be anybody. Whether you're documented, undocumented, I don't care. If you come onto the soil of the United States, you're union. We should have one big union. It should be like an IWC situation where we have North American Union.
Yeah, and I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah, so because this is about that, I'm all for that. But this whole we can't limit things because then we'll be being unfair. No. We having mopeds in the bike lane. This has nothing to do with the fact that you care about bicycles. And I think this is all part of elite capture. And go ahead, you were going to say something.
No, I was absolutely going to agree with you about the elite capture. And just to also piggyback on what you were saying before about corporations and doing whatever they want to, Citizens United made corporations people, and they have the same human rights that people do.
And this is part of what is going on. This is part of the challenge of what is going on. I mean, we need to be able to regulate these companies at their source. We're allowing for companies for bicycle. We're allowing for people to call mopeds bicycles, which confuses everyone. And then I think the thing that's really interesting is that a lot of these advocacy groups are like, see, what we need to do is educate everybody on what a bicycle is. What? You need to explain to them that this thing that looks like a moped is a bicycle, but a different kind of bicycle than this. What are you talking about? Are you insane?
That's just that. First of all, people aren't even looking both ways before they cross the street, which is basic world functioning education that you get drilled into your head from kindergarten onward. So people aren't even, and I'm not talking about people who are looking at their phones and just walking out into traffic. I'm talking about people that are just walking out into traffic. So you're going to take this same population that doesn't look both ways before they cross the street, and now we have to educate them about what's a bike, what isn't a bike. That's no, that should come from regulation.
And I'm gonna tell you this: I have no idea what they're talking about when they're like, "Oh, the bike, which, you know what, I'm gonna tell you what happens. Why the manufacturers want people to be confused, okay, and want to pretend like, oh, the problem is, you're just not educated on what a bicycle is. If they call their mopeds, or kind of conflate this situation where they call their mopeds bicycles, and they would do even some class two. If you they're, to me, not all of them, but some of them are very iffy to me. They're very iffy when you see, like, and I'm not even kind of, anyway, I'm just going to say this. You expand your market and your accessibility by saying a moped is a bike. You kind of reach a wider demographic. You get people, like, if you're a 13-year-old boy or 14-year-old boy and you say, "Mom, I just want a bicycle," and she's like, "Okay, Junior, you can have a bike." And even some grown people, you're like, "Wow, this is a zippy bike." You're like zipping on it. You don't even know what it is. There are people who are riding dirty on accident.
It's the same thing with cars. It's fun to go fast.
Exactly.
Like, so you can do everything that you want to do about making speed limits, laws, regulations, what have you. But if it's something that is fun, people are going to regularly break the law to have fun and go fast. It's the same as you've seen those little, they look like an ATV, an all-terrain vehicle, but they're three-wheeled. They have two wheels in the front and one wheel in the back. You don't need a motorcycle license to ride one of those.
I did see that. When I was looking through this law, I was like, why don't you need a license to do that?
Yeah, because because of the structure of them and the way that they have the two wheels in the front. I don't know enough about cars and ATVs and mechanics and things like that to really figure out why. But yeah, you don't need a motorcycle license for that, which to me is dangerous.
That's puzzling. Also, I'm going to go back to why you would also want to kind of do this weird kind of confusing thing with the moped bicycle thing. Reduced legal requirements. In many jurisdictions, vehicles that are legally defined as bicycles are under a different set of rules. So, of course, in the New York metro area, even though we have this rule in New Jersey, if they pass it, they're not going to pass it. But if they did pass it, but in New York, it still counts as a bicycle. And also, too, you could bring a bike on a train. You can't bring a motorcycle on a train. It's a lower perceived cost of ownership. It might not actually be a lower cost of ownership, but it's a perceived lower cost of ownership. Favorable parking and storage. So if you have a bicycle, it's going to cost less than if you had a moped.
Yeah.
And then you can also get a lot of government incentives because, it's a bicycle. And especially, as you know, because cycling and the health thing, it kind of goes hand in hand. You could probably get some kind of health grants, all kinds of stuff, because you have a bicycle. And we're not even thinking that if we want to regulate someone, we should be regulating these companies who are trying to market their their mopeds as bicycles. But we don't really want to have that conversation, and we want to act like we don't understand what is going on, and we understand what is going on.
It's very obvious to me.
Yeah, and I think another thing that we need to be talking about in regards to this whole situation, and is like, okay, we have this Nick guy, and Senator Nick, and he put this, he stated, I think in the Bergen Record or something like that, he was like, "I have 6 bicycles and a motorcycle." And when I saw that, you know what I thought about? We talked about Forrester and the roadies.
Yep.
And, okay, in the bicycle world, we have roadies. They're Forrester disciples. And you're probably like, what does this mean? There's this phrase in the United States called take the lane. So essentially, you're right. Say you're driving your car, and a bicyclist gets right in front of your car and takes the lane because he's a car. That is from John Forrester. And that is from a Forrester roadie philosophy. Roadies hate electric bikes. Now, like I said, this is just me kind of throwing this out there as a possibility. So roadies don't like electric bikes. And I'm not saying Nick is a roadie. I don't know. He got 6 bicycles and a motorcycle. That sounds very roadie to me.
What kind of spandex is he wearing?
That's right. I smell sweaty spandex. That's what I smell. I smell sweaty spandex, and I feel that Nick is probably a roadie. He hates electric bikes, and there's an element of eugenics in there. There's an element of ableism in there, where we're kind of like, well, if you can't ride a bike, if you can't ride a bike 20 miles uphill, well, then you shouldn't be on a bike. And this, and also too, just so you know, roadies, those kind of people, they don't like bike lanes because they're like, we don't want regular people riding a bike in our bike lanes because we want to go as fast as possible. Have you ever been by a bicyclist and they're like going like 25 miles per hour and you're like, oh my God, like they're almost going to kill you, run you down. And you're like, and they start screaming at you because they're like, bike, move it. Those are roadies, okay? And they don't like bike lanes. They don't like electric bikes. And again, I don't know for sure, but this smells like a roadie type of a situation. It's not, and they're like, oh, it's about safety. They don't care about safety. There's no way I believe that this dude cares about safety. He literally, what did he do? He literally put forth Bill 4924. Thank you, Andy Kim, for stopping him, stopping this maniac. That was essentially, it was an oversight board in New Jersey. And it's kind of like, okay, you're for safety, but not that kind of safety.
But if you're for safety and you're passionate about cycling, the obvious, I'm not a cyclist. The most obvious thing to me as not a cyclist is to have bike infrastructure made for bikes with protected bike lanes. And you know what? If roadies want to do their roadie thing, go ahead. Ride in traffic if you want to. I'll stay in the protected bike lane.
Exactly. I don't understand. This is, and I know one of the arguments are going to be like, and this is a valid argument. We already have a law that says class 3 and class 4 cyclists are supposed to have licenses and insurance. So why would you add 1 and 2? And to me, that points to something a lot more sinister. It's like, I know a lot of people who are here in New Jersey are like, we're not New York. We don't want bicycling here. We don't want people to be able to they don't want to have public transit here. Unless you're going to Manhattan, you can barely use public transit here. There are very few bike lanes. And we have, in city of Essex, where we live, sorry, it's not a city, but I call it a city of Essex. It should be
when we're done with it.
That's right. It's going to be a city when we're done because Essex is the size of Philadelphia. It has 22 cities, 22 school districts. Also, it can practice essentially apartheid.
And it does.
It practices apartheid. And this is why you can't have bike lanes. This is why you can't have public transit, because each little city has to vote for if a bike lane is okay or not. Each little city has to vote, can we have a bus stop here? Can we not have a bus stop? And also, this is exactly why we're kind of getting off this top, the Greenway. Oh my God, that's never getting built. We're using all the social capital on something because of the whole, what do you call it? It's called town rights, state rights.
It's basically state rights on a town level. It's home rule.
Oh yes, what I said. I can never remember the name of it. Home rule. Yeah, state rights for like New Jersey. You essentially have this situation going on, and this is why the Greenway is never getting built. I always feel like, in a way, there's some kind of weird game going on. Like, are we actually, like, do you guys actually want bike lanes? Do you actually want that, or is this just a way to waste time, waste everyone's social capital? We act like, oh, let's educate people on what bicycles are. Let's educate people on how to ride a bike. Let's educate people to not hit you.
I think you're right. I think it is a a distraction from what the real issues could be, you know? And I think that like the people that don't want public transit and the people that don't want bike lanes, these are all people that are suburbanites anyway. They're not living in Essex. They're not living in Newark or East Orange where people legitimately use bikes to get around. Because when you live in the suburbs, you have to get in your car and drive like 40 minutes to get to work.
And I think another thing that's really interesting is that New Jersey is literally, it's like third in regards to not having car ownership. Only New York and DC, fewer people have cars.
And that's crazy to me because think of like how packed the roads always are. Like you really have to have a car to get around New Jersey. But I do know that a lot of people just don't. They forego it because the cost is too high.
Well, New Jersey is the densest. I know it sounds really weird. New Jersey is the most dense, most urban state in the United States. And I know people are like, what? That's wild. And I'm like, yeah, that is true. Actually, our suburbia is only in our mind. We're only suburban in our mind. The entire, except for the one little section that you lived in, Kimberly.
Teeny tiny Warren County.
5%. That's the 5% of rural New Jersey. Most of New Jersey is urban. 95% of New Jersey is urban. So that means that we have the capacity. We have the capacity for not only bike lanes, we have the capacity for a robust, accessible public transit system. We have the capacity to do all kinds of things, but we seem to spend an inordinate amount of time on things such as this, like right now.
Well, I think that it's like, you know, I was talking to my dad about this and we were talking about the Greenway and how it's very disappointing that they're not maintaining the rails. What that whole thing was supposed to include was placing a gravel/asphalt over the rails so that they could be preserved for when those train stations, hopefully at some point in time, open back up again. And as we've talked about with the Greenway project, they're not doing that at all. They're ripping up all of the rails. So what is the point then?
The Greenway is another conversation that we have had that we are kind of confused about. We're like, a lot of things in regards to the Greenway, especially the one that's going around Essex as a rail, that would be a much more useful project. We want to extend the light rail in Essex so that it can reach to East Orange and Patterson. We are very confused at the amount of time that's being spent on the Greenway, the amount of time spent on defending people who are riding mopeds, the amount of time being lobbyists for Uber Eats. We're confused at what exactly is advocacy and policymakers doing in regards to giving us choices outside of driving our car.
They're spinning their wheels.
They're spinning their wheels, spending so much time.
That's what they're doing.
I got that. That's pretty funny. You're a funny lady.
I'm not that witty. That was totally by accident.
All right. But let me tell you, these are all the things that I'm kind of like confused about. And I know right now, in regards to this situation, I know a lot of bicycle advocacy groups are going to be like, what we need to do is, essentially enforce the laws that are on the books. Yes, I agree with that. Enforce the laws that are on the book, especially in regards to class 3 and class 4. But what I don't agree with is educating people on all the different kinds of bicycles that exist. No, class 3 and class 4 aren't bicycles. See, so we don't need to get educated on it. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, and like also not only that, but they keep pushing like education, and education is not a substitute for regulation and legislation, and that's what they're doing with it.
And infrastructure, like that.
And it's like with everything else, it's turning it. If you get creamed on your moped, it's your fault. It turns into personal responsibility. Like everything else in the United States, it turns into personal responsibility. It's your fault you're poor. It's your fault that you got run down by a truck that's like 18 feet high and can't see pedestrians as they're crossing the street. Didn't you look both ways? Didn't you read the pamphlet that we sent out to everybody?
No, that's the whole thing. The whole free market, there is no free market. The whole deregulation, that's not a thing. Okay, actually what free market and deregulation means is regulating human beings, regulating you and me. The free market and deregulation is only that means that corporations and capitalists can do whatever the hell they want. No, that's not okay. We're not okay with that. And the fact of the matter is that we need to have infrastructure, research, data, all kinds of things say that in order for people to ride their bicycles, they need infrastructure. We don't need any more education. We don't need any more bike lessons. We don't need any more of that. This 3 feet campaign, it's ridiculous. All of this stuff. And I think that, unless we have this conversation in regards to, no, we are not lobbyists for Uber Eats. Mopeds are not bicycles. They're what we know. We all know what a bicycle is, and we need infrastructure, and we also need we need the alternatives to not driving need to hook up to Penn Newark,
Yes.
not the Greenway.
No.
What is going on there?
Again, I'm just going to say people are not going to want to commute through the swamp to get to work. Like, that's just not, people that ride bikes to work want the same thing that cars have, and that is the quickest, fastest route to work.
Exactly. And I don't think why that's hard or complicated. And with that, Kimberly, we're going to wrap up this first edition of Auto Asphyxiation. I want to say live. We are live, kind of.
Kind of.
If you were here, it would be live for you. So, anyway, this is Lark
And Carolee.
and thank you for watching and listening to Auto Asphyxiation. And remember, call your legislature people, your
Harassing your politicians and elected officials.
Yeah.
And the best thing for bikes is bike infrastructure.
That's it. Yeah, then that's right. And I want you to all to know too. Remember, we are urban critics. We are journalists. We are not bike advocates. So yeah, we probably said some things in this podcast that you're unhappy about, but guess what? We're not part of your crew. We're journalists. So I ride a bike. She does her little car thing. What do you do?
I mostly walk around places. I take the car out if I absolutely have to.
And she walks. Okay. So deal with it. Okay. All right. With that, you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for listening.